Imagine opening your eyes, expecting your bedroom ceiling, only to find painted stars on a mud brick vault, the smell of lotus and hot sand, and your phone still glowing at 76%. Welcome to ancient Egypt. You've just overslept by 4,000 years. If that twist just jolted you awake, drop the exact time on your clock in the comments. I'm genuinely curious where and when you're listening from. And if you enjoy nodding off to slow burn what-ifs, please tap subscribe and ring the sleepy little bell so you never miss a midnight timeline. Before the first pyramid casts its perfect shadow, breathe in. Dust, warm linen, distant river air. Breathe out the modern world, at least for the next 20 minutes. You're lying on a mat woven from papyrus reeds that crunch softly whenever you move. A skinny oil lamp flickers near your feet, its flame the color of weak tea. Night lingers, but a slice of sunrise already pokes through a narrow slit in the wall. Your body insists it's still 2025. Everything else says otherwise. Instinctively, you reach for familiar weight. Yes, your phone. Screen on. No bars, no Wi-Fi, but the clock still counts seconds with digital certainty. That alone feels like magic here. Battery at 76% set to low power. Airplane mode, though there are no planes, only ibises flapping somewhere beyond mud brick roofs. The tiny room contains one clay jug, one reed basket, and a folded scrap of linen that might be a tunic. Outside, muffled sounds, rhythmic thuds, a call and response chant, wooden sledges grinding over sand. You peek through the slit. Rows of limestone blocks await placement, workers pulling ropes in unison. The Great Pyramid? Not yet, but maybe its older cousin, still rising course by course. Good news, nobody's noticed you. Bad news, neon-colored pajamas scream alien envoy. You tug on the linen tunic, itchy but neutral, and tuck the phone into an inner fold. Its glow disappears. Your heartbeat does not. Now what? You can't speak Middle Egyptian, but gestures and smiles travel well. Still, every choice is a branch in history's garden. Reveal too much tech, and you're labeled a priest or a threat. Hide it, and you're one more stray laborer under the desert sun. Option 1. Flashlight demonstration. A focused beam might impress overseers inspecting stone seams before dawn. Option 2. Camera portrait. Show a worker his own face captured in light. Option 3. Do nothing flashy. Start by observing, learning rhythms, finding someone literate in hieroglyphs who can tolerate your terrible pronunciation. Each path has pros, cons, and unique risks. Feel free to tell me in the comments which trick you'd try first, and why. Stepping outside, you feel cool sand under bare soles. Pre-sunrise Egypt is surprisingly quiet. Just shuffling feet and low chants, timed to the pull of ropes. A priest in leopard skin sash strides past, incense burner swinging. He pauses, noticing your awkward half-bow. He says something, maybe, "Who are you?" You answer with the universal language. Open hands, slight nod, eyes lowered. He studies the phone-shaped bulge under your tunic. Your pulse hammers, but he moves on, smoke trailing. You follow the work gang at a distance. They drag a limestone block using wooden sleds wetted with water to reduce friction. An engineering hack that wouldn't surprise your physics teacher. A foreman marks progress on a palm fiber tally rope. Everything is precise, methodical. A civilization obsessed with order, angles, and the promise of eternity. Standing on a rise, you catch the horizon reddening. The Nile ribbon glints far away, and palm silhouettes wedge between river and desert. In that gentle light, time feels thinner, like papyrus ready to tear. You pull out the phone, just for a second, and snap a silent photo. Sunrise over half-finished pyramid, workers silhouetted, long shadows stretching like sundials. You glance at the thumbnail, proof your life still records in pixels. Then you notice someone's watching. A teenage water runner balancing clay jugs stares at the phone's brief glow, eyes wide. You raise a finger to your lips, slip the device away. He nods, curious rather than afraid, and hurries on. First witness logged. Back in the shelter as sun climbs, you review immediate goals. Shelter, language basics, low-risk usefulness. Phone battery drops to 75%. You draft a mental checklist. Blend visually, secure local fabric, ditch neon. Acquire vocabulary. Barter signs for words. Water, bread, yes, no. Establish value. Maybe demonstrate precise shadow-based noon measurement with phone clock. Connects to their love of astronomy without screaming witchcraft. Locate scribes. Hieroglyphic record keepers might appreciate new symbols or counting methods. Never show full browser cache. Modern maps revealing future Cairo would fry everyone's circuits, including yours. Outside, morning drums begin. The city wakes fully. Carts creak, goats bleat, children chase one another through alleys. You tie the tunic tighter, feeling somewhat less alien. 700 words pass like grains of sand through idle fingers. Time to rest your eyes, perhaps. Or at least slow them to half speed. The Nile will keep flowing whether you learn to say Ankh today or tomorrow. Let your breathing mimic its steady current. Slow in, slower out. The phone is quiet. The desert quieter. You're safe, for this paragraph at least. Remember to tell me where you're listening from, and if you haven't yet, that subscribe button is somewhere outside the pyramid. It helps our sleepy little expedition keep wandering through time. First words, first trade, and the friendly scribe. Settle your shoulders, adjust the pillow behind your neck, and let the desert's long, even breath guide yours. Beyond the mud brick doorway, the sun has slipped higher, soft gold turning everything, stone, linen, even drifting dust, into a low-contrast watercolor. The work gang's chant fades, replaced by the thunk-scrape rhythm of copper chisels shaping blocks in the distance. Nothing urgent here, just patient centuries unfolding. You decide it's time to test gentle usefulness. Rule 1. Start small, preferably with water. Rule 2. Never draw a bigger crowd than you can calm. With that mantra repeating like a lullaby, you step outside carrying your miracle device hidden in cloth, plus the reed basket you found earlier. A girl no older than 10, bare feet, hair in tight braids, spots the basket and points to the community well, eyebrow lifted in universal need help. You nod. Vocabulary lesson begins. She taps the basket. DJRT, likely basket. She points to herself, Satsobek. You try repeating. Sat Sobek. She smiles, corrects your vowel with a quick shake of the head, then laughs. Pleased enough. Progress. At the well, you study the pulley system. A wooden wheel, leather rope, clay bucket. Surprisingly efficient. You pull, muscles protesting at first, then falling into rhythm. Water sloshes, cool and slightly silty. You recall a line from your offline notes. Nile water, once settled and filtered through cloth, was usually safe, but surface microbes near settlements could still cause dysentery. Boiling would help, but selling boiling water to people who've never needed it might sound strange. Semantics again. Instead, you produce the phone discreetly, switch on the flashlight, and point the beam through the fresh bucket. The suspended particles glow faintly. Satsobek gasps, then giggles, dipping her fingers into the shimmering water. You angle the beam through your cupped palm, letting motes dance on her wrist like tiny fireflies. Then you turn it off. Show's over. She mimics zipping lips, secret kept. To reciprocate, she presents a small clay cup of crushed dates mixed with honey. Breakfast, apparently. You accept, murmur something approximating gratitude, and notice two young boys watching. Before curiosity grows teeth, you slip the phone away and focus on shared food. Tastes like sunshine melted into syrup. Comfortable silence follows. As you head back, a man clad in off-white linen, carrying an armload of clay tablets, hurries past. One tablet tilts. A few wooden styluses tumble. You crouch, returning styluses with both hands. He nods thanks, says Jehuti Hotep, and taps his chest. He's a scribe. You point to yourself, offer the makeshift Egyptian alias per Ankh, House of Life, close enough to student. He seems amused and shuffles the tablet so you can see neat rows of incised hieroglyphs. Birds, reeds, folded cloths, little loaves. Your inner language app kicks in. Recognition lights flicker. He notices your interest and beckons you toward a shaded porch. Inside, reed mats hold ink cakes, brushes, and more tablets drying in neat stacks. A low table displays a lump of soft clay ready for imprint. You realize this calm-voiced man might become your gateway to literacy. You mime curiosity about symbols. He hands you a stylus, moistens a small clay slab, and nods permission to practice. You etch a simple I symbol. One you've seen labeled IRT in quick reference lists. He corrects your line angle gently, then adds a horizontal stroke. Next, he draws a ripple sign, water. Then a loaf, sound, T. Combine, IT. He says it softly. You repeat. Not bad. 10 minutes glide by. Tablet after tablet. No rush, no raised voices, just clay accepting intention. Stylus making thoughts tangible. When you part, he gifts you a palm fiber cord holding 3 blank tablets. Lightweight notebooks, 5th Dynasty edition. You bow, press hand to heart. He mirrors the gesture, curiosity still dancing in his eyes. Maybe he wonders about the glow he glimpsed earlier under your tunic. Maybe he just likes teaching. Either way, you have a teacher, and perhaps a friend. Back in the sleeping shelter, you unwrap the phone. Battery, 75%. You jot notes on a fresh clay slab. Sunrise photo logged, water beam test successful. Contact, Satsobek, well, Annie Jehuti Hotep, scribe. Your handwriting in clay looks clumsy but readable. Baby steps. Before closing your eyes for a midday rest, common in heat like this, you scroll to the phone's clock app. Set a silent alarm vibration for sunset. Habit is a comforting tether to your century. Then you dim the screen to nearly nothing and tuck it under folded linen. Outside, wind picks up, fluttering rush mats like pages of a bedtime book. You inhale through the nose, feel papyrus-scented air tickle memory, exhale slowly. Feet relax, shoulders sink. If sleep tugs at your eyelids too, follow it down the Nile's gentle current. And if you're still awake, leave me a quick comment. Would you have shown the flashlight at the well, or kept the phone hidden for now? Your approach shapes tomorrow's chapter. And yes, if this calm wander through history feels cozy, that subscribe button is still waiting like a friendly cat at the doorway. The desert dawn creeps in like warm tea seeping across parchment. By the time your silent phone alarm vibrates against reed matting, the village buzz has already begun. Copper chisels ring from the quarry slopes. Geese argue down by the riverbank. You stretch, careful not to jostle the clay tablets gifted by Jehuti Hotep, and feel papyrus fibers crackle softly beneath your fingertips. First task, blend. You knot the linen tunic more confidently now, tucking yesterday's awkward corner folds into something almost stylish. Your phone remains cocooned beneath a strip of cloth at your waist, a faint rectangle of comfort. Battery, 75%, holding steady thanks to minimal screen time and desert-warm sleep mode. Outside, sunbeams slice through dusty air, spotlighting the pyramid site like a stage still under construction. Workers haul sledges in choreographed silence. No whip cracks, just the occasional encouraging clap from overseers. You take in the pattern. 50 paces haul. 4 breaths rest, repeat. A cadence older than countries. Your priority today is language. Yesterday's quick lesson left you with maybe 4 hieroglyphs reliably etched into muscle memory. Not enough to navigate an economy, but enough to spark curiosity in others. You spot Satsubek filling jars at the well. She recognizes you, offers a small wave, then holds up a tight roll of papyrus. Doodles, your eye symbol, her attempt at your phone outline, a rectangle with radiating zigzags, and her own name in pictograms. A folded cloth, a goose, a half circle. She looks proud. You nod, press hand to heart, and gift her a single clay bead from your shelter. Trade sealed. Across the square, Jehuti-Hotep beckons. His shaded porch feels like an oasis of cool logic in this sandy opera set. Today, he lays out pigments, ground malachite greens and hematite reds. He gestures toward papyrus sheets and carefully writes 3 glyphs: loaf, T, mouth, R, reed leaf, I. Try, he says, bread. He points to the reed basket on your shoulder. Try? You nod, pronounce it, scratch the basket icon in clay. He laughs softly. The scribe's chuckle is a quiet wind chime, tiny but deeply encouraging. You decide to reciprocate with something simple and non-threatening, a sundial. Using your phone's clock for reference, you carve a shallow circle in sand, mark north approximated by sunrise, then plant a thin reed. Every 10 minutes, the shadow creeps. You copy its tip onto clay. After an hour, you have a rough dial. Jehuti-Hotep watches, intrigued. You indicate the phone's seconds ticking, then tap the reed shadow when minutes match. He mouths a long syllable, perhaps Heka, the word for practical magic. Yet his eyes are more analytical than awestruck. He already respects measurement. You're merely giving him a new toy. During a pause, you hold the phone low, brightness dimmed, and show him its stopwatch running. He leans close, tracing the changing digits with one gnarled finger, careful not to touch. You say softly, in your best beginner's Egyptian, time, small, tiny grains in the palm. He nods, repeats, lesson logged. Lunch arrives as a shared plate of flatbread, goat cheese, and surprisingly sweet onions. You chew slowly, letting flavors anchor you to this hour. Across the porch, a sleepy cat stalks a beetle, but gives up halfway, choosing shade over conquest. The scribe gifts you a reed pen, motioning for you to try pigment. You copy the water ripple glyph, 3 horizontal waves, then superimpose a tiny rectangle beside it. Water box, you joke. He raises an eyebrow, bemused, perhaps marking you officially as eccentric. While the papyrus dries, you sketch a simple map. The well, the scribe's porch, the river path, your shelter. Jehuti-Hotep labels each in hieroglyphs. You add Arabic numerals 1-4 discreetly in a corner, anticipating no one else will notice their significance yet. Collaboration in 2 writing systems feels quietly revolutionary but also soothing, like knitting 2 different yarns into one blanket. As midday heat climbs, activity slows. Workers nap beneath sailcloth awnings. Goats press against mud walls to steal shade. You retreat to your shelter, laying the reed pen carefully next to your phone. Battery, 74%. You jot quick phone notes, sun angle, basic words, map progress, then power off the display completely. Before you drift into a short siesta, here's a calm thought experiment for you, dear listener. Which small technology would you introduce first if you were here? A sundial, soap, a pulley upgrade. Let that idea mull gently like herbs in warm oil. And, if your eyelids feel heavy, let them slide closed now. The Nile's hush outside will handle the chapter break. If you've learned something new, please nudge the subscribe button so this sleepy little channel stays afloat on the river of algorithms. And feel free to type your micro-innovation in the comments once you wake. Late afternoon sunlight turns every limestone block peach pink, the architectural equivalent of a lullaby. You wake refreshed, slip outside and find SUBSRIBE waiting. She gestures skyward, then points toward the temple complex shimmering beyond palm groves. You realize dusk rituals will begin soon, priests observing stars for their sacred calendar. And you, with a smartphone packed with offline star charts, might have just the thing to make friends without summoning paranoia. Together, you walk dusty lanes where sleepy goats reclaim energy and potters arrange still-warm vessels. SUBSRIBE hums a simple melody. You match rhythm by tapping clay tablets in your satchel, percussion soft as rainfall. At the temple forecourt, incense curls upward. Priests align tall wooden gnomons, ready to mark the heliacal setting of Sirius in a day or two. Their astronomy is part science, part devotion. You greet the nearest acolyte with a cautious nod. SUBSRIBE introduces you with words you barely follow. The acolyte eyes your foreign tunic folds but sees the reed pen tucked behind your ear, a subtle badge of intellectual legitimacy. He leads you to a shaded platform, where a low table displays star diagrams on papyrus. Familiar. Orion drawn as the god Sa, the celestial cow of Hathor. Now, a careful reveal. You pull out the phone, not glowing, open your offline star map app, and dim brightness until it matches lamplight. You angle the screen beside the papyrus, aligning Sagittarius icons. The acolyte inhales sharply but doesn't shout. You slide the screen. Touch gestures fascinate him, until Sirius appears. You point to his gnomon, then to the star on the map, then trace tomorrow's predicted setting path. His expression shifts from fear to focused wonder. He beckons a senior priest. The priest's leopard skin sash indicates high rank. You repeat the alignment demonstration. He circles the phone, squints, then surprises you by pressing a fingertip against the glass, leaving an oil smudge. You wipe gently with linen. He apologizes with a gesture of respect. Instead of demanding you surrender the sky box, he invites you to trace a larger star path on papyrus, using your map as a guide. Collaboration again, and in hushed tones so onlookers think it merely priestly math. During a break, you notice a scarab beetle on the table. The priest places it on your palm, explaining through gestures its symbolism of rebirth. Sun rolling across sky like scarab rolling dung. You recall your phone's accelerometer app. Curiosity nudges. You open a simple compass app. The beetle's shadow crawls across the screen. The priest chuckles. It mirrors the scarab myth in miniature. You close the app quickly. Battery, 73%. Twilight settles. The temple pillars glow amber as oil lamps are lit. Priests pour libation water on warming stones, aromatic steam rising. They gift you a small wad of natron salt, cleanser and offering both. Practical and symbolic. Exactly your favorite combination. SUBSRIBE tugs your sleeve, indicating homeward path. On the way back, she tests new words. She points to the phone's dark screen, says, "Reek," knowledge. You echo, then point to the reed pen. "Reek." She giggles, understanding the bridge. Tools are knowledge, whether stylus or silicon. Night descends fully. Stars perforate the velvet sky, impossibly bright without modern glare. You sit outside your shelter, phone turned off to honor the darkness. Clay tablets cool beneath your hand. Hieroglyph practice lines drying in gentle desert breeze. You try matching constellations overhead to memories. Orion is easy, but Scorpius tilts differently at this latitude. Somewhere to the east, Sirius is just dipping behind distant date palms. Tomorrow the priests will celebrate its return. Now you already know the minute it disappears. Let that comfort you as you breathe slow. Picture yourself lying on warm stone, head resting on folded arms, the hum of cicadas and far-off river frogs weaving lullabies under a spray of Milky Way dust. Your heartbeat quiets, steady as a water clock counting out silence. Before your mind drifts, a gentle prompt. If you could share one celestial fact with ancient priests without unraveling their cosmology, what would it be? Maybe that Earth spins, not the heavens. Or maybe you'd keep that secret and instead teach better methods for predicting flood cycles. Let the thought float like a paper boat on the Nile. Morning seeps in gently, tinting the sky from charcoal to soft apricot. Somewhere beyond the palms, herons argue over breakfast fish, but the rest of the settlement wakes in slow, unhurried layers. First, potters stoking small kilns, then bakers coaxing ovens to life, then laborers stretching beneath half-built obelisks. You sit cross-legged outside your shelter, clay tablet in your lap, copying yesterday's new glyphs. Ripple water, loaf bread, scarab sun. The reed pen feels more familiar this morning, as if your fingers slept rehearsing the strokes. Battery check, 73%. Good. You flip the phone face down. Today's work needs zero glow. The small lump of natron gifted by the priests rests beside you, a gentle reminder that cleansing in Egypt is half physical, half spiritual. Satsubek arrives with a shallow basket of dough rounds. She mimes kneading, then fans her face. Hot oven. You nod, follow her across the square to the communal bakery. A low room, walls warm from dawn firing, air scented with barley and the faint woody sweetness of date palm charcoal. Inside, clay domes, tanners, radiate heat. Bakers slap flattened dough discs onto inner walls, sealing lids to trap steam. It's methodical, meditative. You help in small ways, feeding a tanner with just the right amount of fuel, brushing ash aside. In return, you request an experiment. You gesture. 2 jugs of Nile water, 1 raw, 1 boiled. You draw the ripple glyph twice, adding 3 small vertical strokes over one to mean fire. The baker, amused, agrees. Bread will bake, water will boil. Simple. While steam hisses softly, you use the downtime to coax your novice vocabulary into practical sentences. Water after fire, better, and bread loves clean. The baker chuckles, repeats the phrases. Soon, other workers copy the words, turning them into a quiet, sing-song rhythm. Education here spreads like warm honey, slow but inevitable. By the time the first loaves finish, the boiled water has cooled to drinking temperature. You dip a reed cup, sip cautiously, clean, faint mineral sweetness. You point to the unboiled jug, pantomime stomach pain, then to the boiled jug, mimic relief. Workers nod, curious. One brave soul tries the boiled water. He smiles, thumbs up, a gesture universal across millennia. To cement the idea, you pull out the phone just long enough to open a single offline illustration, a simple sketch of invisible microbes, friendly cartoon blobs, crossed out by a pot over flame. You show it for 3 heartbeats, then darken the screen. Tiny demonstration, big ripples. The baker traces a circle over his chest, sign of gratitude, and begins arranging a smaller clay pot on spare coals near the tannour, as if the idea had always been his. Outside, sunlight glances off rows of fresh bread set to cool on palm frond trays. You and SUBSRIBE carry 2 trays toward the workers, lugging limestone, leaving a faint trail of warm, barley fragrance. Along the way, she points to the boiled water pot now in use, a modest start of a new habit. You catch yourself grinning. Progress often looks like nothing more than a humble pot quietly bubbling in a corner. At the pyramid site, you distribute bread discs. Workers accept with nods, some tapping fists lightly to their chests in thanks. You settle on a block's edge, savoring your own piece. Slightly smoky, chewy, faintly sweet. Overhead, a flock of ibis wheels in loose spirals, white wings flickering against a cobalt sky. A foreman named Capri, skin darkened by sun and limestone dust, notices your repeated glances at the moving sledges. You gesture to his rope team, then sketch on clay, sled, water, arrow forward. He nods, pours a skin of water onto the sand before the wooden runners. Friction drops. The block glides a little easier. Not new to them, but your praise and repeated emphasis suggest you value their cleverness. In turn, he offers you a small copper chisel, dull from use. A token. Tools exchanged for ideas. Returning toward the village, you feel midday heat pooling in every shadowless corner. You pause under an acacia, pull out the phone, and jot quick observations in notes. Screen brightness low, airplane mode still on. Boiled water accepted in bakery. Monitor adoption barley bread method recorded. Possible future demo video. Friction reduction validated. Ancient engineering. Still elegant battery dips to 72%. You tuck the device away, promising silence. Let's float a question your way, listener. What single kitchen or household hack from today would you share here? Could be soap making. Could be a hand crank fan. Maybe a simple thermometer. Let it drift across your mind like a reed boat on the Nile. If you're still awake later, leave it in the comments. As late afternoon lengthens shadows, you stroll back past a scribal porch. Jehuti Hotep waves you in, unveiling a fresh papyrus sheet covered in neat hieroglyph columns. He has translated your sundial markings, linking each time point to a glyph label. You add your Arabic numerals beneath, side by side, 2 languages looking at the same sun. He smiles, slips the sheet into a protective scroll case, then presents you with a new clay tablet. Your name in his careful script, framed by a cartouche. A gentle acknowledgement that even visitors deserve a place in record. You bow. He bows. The day bows with you, sun kissing horizon. Heat begins to loosen its grip. A soft breeze lifts papyrus edges like turning pages. Feel your own shoulders unclench. Imagine warm barley bread cooling near you, scent mingling with distant river air. Inhale slowly for 4. Hold 2. Exhale for 6. Night will arrive soon, with quieter sounds. Owl hoots, gentle lapping water, the whisper of your heartbeat syncing with an older world. If these calm experiments lull you toward dreams, do consider subscribing. It tells the algorithmic scribe to keep writing our sleepy chronicles. And if you're still alert, what would you test tomorrow? Medicine, irrigation, or maybe the mysteries of static electricity? Good night, or good nap, wherever your pillow lies. Dusk slips over the settlement as quietly as a linen shroud. Workers shuffle back from the pyramid ramp, voices low, muscles slow, dust outlining every crease in their linen. You linger near the bakery, where yesterday's boiled water pot now steams on its own schedule. No ceremony, just quiet habit. Progress often arrives wearing plain clothes. The air cools enough to breathe deeply without scalding your throat. You turn east toward the temple courtyard. Tonight, the priests will watch Sirius wink below the horizon, a final disappearance before its heliacal return. This event governs their calendar, a celestial reset button. And you, with a phone that tracks sidereal time to the second, can help them refine tomorrow's prediction without ruffling cosmic feathers. The courtyard is calmer than daytime bustle. Oil lamps hug column bases, painting soft halos around carved lotus capitals. Jehuti-Hotep stands beside the high priest, scroll open, reed pen poised. You step forward, touch fist to chest in greeting. The priest motions upward. Stars are speaking. Words can wait. You respect the silence. Phone out. Brightness dimmed until it's no brighter than a lamp. You open the star map app again. Instead of showing the screen directly, you shield it with your palm, peeking only enough to confirm the exact minute Sirius sets. You note it on clay, a tally mark, then 3 ripple glyphs. Water, the domain of Sopdet, their name for Sirius. Jehuti-Hotep studies the clay, nods, and copies the notation onto papyrus. When the star finally slides behind date palm silhouettes, the high priest exhales. Relief, reverence. You indicate the clay mark, show phone digits reading precisely that moment, then bow out of sight. No fanfare, just shared confidence in tomorrow's dawn ritual. As gratitude, the priest leads you behind the sanctum to a modest workshop. There, 2 apprentices wind rope around a wooden spindle suspended between forked posts, primitive but promising. The priest points, then mimics your earlier waterhall motion, raising palms to shoulder height. You grasp his intent. They want to lift heavier water jars from deep wells using a pulley adapted from your rope observations. In reply, you draw a simple fixed pulley diagram on clay. A wheel with rim grooves, rope looped over, jar on one end, counterweight stone on the other. You etch arrows, add the water ripple glyph. One apprentice claps softly, eyes bright. You suspect pulleys exist elsewhere in Egypt, but not yet common in village wells. Demonstrating here could relieve countless aching backs. But you also recall Rule 2, avoid sudden leaps that scream wizardry. So you suggest a trial on a small jar first. Tomorrow at dawn, they'll test. On your stroll homeward, night deepens. A warm wind slides across fields, rustling papyrus like soft applause. Battery reads 71%. You power the phone fully off, trusting your clay notes for now. Halfway to your shelter, you pass Satsobek's family courtyard. Her father, a reed mat weaver, gestures you closer. He holds 2 thin copper rods hammered flat, puzzled expression on his face. He places them end to end, shakes his head. Too weak for long mats, he implies. You recall a trick. Twisting 2 thin rods makes a stronger cord. Using small gestures, you braid the copper strips together, then quench them in cool water for tempering. The father runs fingers along the spiral, flexible yet resilient. He tests it by threading through reed loops. The tension holds. His grin lines deepen. He presses a small terracotta scarab into your palm. Payment, symbol, protection. You accept with modest bow. The copper spiral sparks an old memory. Static electricity experiments with foil at home. Someday, perhaps, you'll explore that gently here. But tonight is for rest. Enough novelty can fit into one sunset. At your shelter, the reed mat feels cooler than usual. You roll the terracotta scarab between fingers, studying carved details. A tiny sun disk, wings tucked close. You set it beside the phone, now inert, and the reed pen, a modern, ancient, still life. Before sleep, a thought drifts across your mind like moonlight on water. Every gift given today, a bred habit, a star timing, a copper twist, cost no more than patience and quiet demonstration. Technology, in this context, is simply patience wearing new shapes. Inhale, count to 4. Exhale, count to 6. Let shoulders fall. Somewhere a flute warbles a lullaby, maybe real, maybe imagination, but soothing either way. Night insects trill. The Nile murmurs beyond acacia silhouettes. Your pulse slows to match its steady, dark current. A gentle prompt for your own mind as eyelids weigh down. Which is stronger, a single grand invention or many tiny, gentle improvements woven into daily life? Let that question float, untethered. There's no rush to answer. Sometimes wondering is enough. First light crawls over mud brick roofs, staining them the color of warm tea. You wake without the phone's vibration. Desert birds handle that duty today. Stepping outside, you find the air unexpectedly cool. A brief gift before the sun lifts its torch. In the temple yard, apprentices already fuss over yesterday's sketch. A wooden wheel carved overnight from tamarisk and fitted into a forked frame. They wave you over. The high priest nods permission to begin. A small jar, perhaps 5 liters, dangles from one end of the rope. A counterstone hangs from the other. When an apprentice tugs, the jar rises with surprising ease, rope whispering over the wheel instead of scraping wood. The group exchanges shy smiles. It works. You watch shoulders relax. The first sign of technology is often relief. Scaling up requires sturdier timber, but that can wait. For now, they practice. Lower jar, fill from the well, raise, pour into clay basin. Over and over, rhythm settling into muscle memory. You stand back, arms crossed loosely, letting them own this discovery. Quiet genius is shared genius. Once the motion is steady, you pull out the phone, screen brightness minimally above black, open the Notes app. You add, pulley prototype, 1, smooth. Suggest animal fat on axle for friction. Battery, 71%, still healthy. You slip the device away. No glowing rectangles needed to prove anything. Back at the bakery, steam already curls from tanner domes. The boiled water jar sits on coals unprompted, boiling, cooling, dispensing in a practiced cycle. The baker hands you a flatbread, nodding toward the pot with a wink. You break the bread, its crumb lighter than before. Less sand, more air, subtle benefit of boiled water in dough. He tears a piece, passes it to the potter next door, wordlessly advertising. Change spreading by taste buds. Walking toward the pyramid ramp, you spy Caffrey the foreman testing a new idea on sledges. Strips of freshly cut papyrus laid under the wooden runners after water pour. Less drag, fewer broken ropes. He spots you, lifts a thumb. You reply in kind. This gesture, borrowed from the future, has caught on. Mid-morning haze shimmers. Work pauses for a water break. Laborers gather around 2 jugs, one boiled, one raw. Curiosity piqued after rumors of clean stomach. They taste both, note subtle difference. Some shrug, others nod appreciatively. Adoption takes time. Seeds know how to wait. You spend midday lull with Jehuti Hotep under his porch, inscribing yesterday's pulley sketch onto papyrus for archive. He titles it Wheel of Light Work, your name below in careful glyphs. He adds an official scribe seal, 3 papyrus stems bound together, sanctioning knowledge that may outlive both of you. you feel a small warmth spread under your ribs. As heat peaks, a hush falls. Only cicadas insist on talking. You close your eyes, inhale dust and faint incense. Exhale slowly. If sleep teases, let it. Nothing urgent here. Pyramids will still rise after a nap. Ease into a breath. In 4, hold 2, out 6. Notice your shoulders drop, perhaps mirroring the jar gliding down its rope. When you rouse, late afternoon shadows stretch long. A copper spiral, last night's handiwork, rests beside the reed pen where you left it. You twist a loose reed frond against the copper. Faint static snaps, tiny but real. Electricity's baby whisper. You log the observation privately. The world isn't ready for sparks yet. Back at the well, apprentices have scaled up. Larger wheel, thicker rope, heavier jar. It lifts, water sloshes, applause in soft timbers. One girl rubs aching wrists, finds they ache less. A practical miracle delivered without thunder. Sun dips. Workers drift home. Night breezes carry reed flute notes. You pad to your shelter. Tuck phone under folded linen. Battery 70%. Clay tablet shows today's tally. Pulley functional. Boiled water uptake rising. Static noted. Small wins. Steady heart. Before dreams find you, wonder gently. Which modern convenience would you miss most here? A pillow? Toothbrush? The hush of electrical hum? Let the thought bob like a papyrus skiff on dark water, unhurried. Pre-dawn chill greets you. Sky barely bruised with lavender when Jehuti Hotep knocks, holding a new scroll. Inside, your pulley diagram, sundial markings, and a short text titled Treatise on Gentle Devices, hieroglyphs paired with your Arabic numerals. He wants to present it to a visiting royal architect due at noon. You nod, pulse steady. Knowledge leaving the porch feels like a child walking to school alone for the first time. At the well, the pulley jar rises and falls in flawless cadence. Villagers queue calmly, chatting about shorter waits, fewer sore shoulders. A small boy dips his reed cup, then bows to the wheel itself. Children sense reverence where adults see mechanics. Mid-morning, the royal architect arrives. Tall, linen crisp, measuring rod in hand. He listens as apprentices demonstrate the pulley. He tests it, weighs the jar in one hand, gestures approval to the priest. Jehuti Hotep unfurls the scroll. The architect traces drawings, nods slowly. He presses a scarab seal into wet clay beside your name. Official adoption. The wheel will travel downriver to Memphis projects, perhaps beyond. No cheers, no trumpets, just a quiet shifting of history's gears. After the delegation departs, you retreat to your shelter. The phone wakes, battery still 70%. You open the camera, switch to slow motion mode. In the corner stands a jar of wheat chaff. You fetch the copper spiral, rub it vigorously with wool scraps, then bring it near the chaff. Tiny husks leap. Static dance recorded at 240 FPS. A future artifact for you alone. You save, dim screen, smile. Evening comes sooner. Days feel shorter when change flows. The baker delivers a gift loaf. Lighter, fluffier, stamped with a tiny wheel imprint in dough. Tribute to labor made easier. You break bread with Satsubek's family. They rinse bites down with boiled, cooled water, now flavored by mint leaves. A luxury easily adopted once method is known. Later, under temple pillars, priests mark Sirius's reappearance exactly when your notes predicted. They nod to you, acknowledgement without spectacle. Calendars adjust by a fraction of a day. Taxes will align better with flood season. Granaries may fill a touch more because harvest timing improves. Large consequences often begin with such micro-shifts. You sit on a low wall, watching stars slip west. Phone dark. Clay tablet resting on knees. You etch final lines. Pulley accepted. Boiled water habit forming. Static experiment private for now. Star timing aligned. Then, one more glyph. A boat sailing into a rising sun. Symbol of departure or of new journeys. You press the terracotta scarab into the clay as a seal, mirroring the architect's earlier gesture. Feels fitting. When moon climbs high, you walk to the riverbank. Water reflects stars like scattered barley on ink. You place the sealed tablet in a small clay jar, cork it with wax, and bury it beneath an acacia. Not to hide, just to let tomorrow's archaeologist wonder. A quiet gift forward. Back in your shelter, you power phone off completely, battery preserved for a future you may never meet. You set it beside reed pen and copper spiral, 3 epics sharing pillow space. Outside, breeze stirs palm fronds. Night insects start their tiny percussion. Your eyelids follow their rhythm. Lower, lift once, then settle for good. Breathe in, cool river whisper. Hold 2 counts. Exhale, dust of a finished day. Shoulders soften, jaw unclenches. Somewhere beyond mud walls, a pulley squeaks softly. Evidence that the world tonight is a shade kinder on the spine. Before dreams gather, a last gentle question for you, traveler. If you left a single object buried for someone millennia ahead, what would it be? And what message might it carry without words? Let the thought nestle into sleep's soft reeds,